Welcome back children to our online classes by Little Scholars Public School. This is Shilpa Patil here. As we have started in the previous video, our fifth chapter of history, religious trends in ancient India. Today we are going to see part 2. In that we are going to learn about the Buddhism. Buddhism spread in India and in many countries outside India. Gautam Buddha was the founder of Buddhism. Gautam Buddha from 563 BCE to 483 BCE. Gautam Buddha was born at Lumbini in Nepal. His father's name was Shuddhodhan and mother's name was Mayadevi. His birth name was Siddharth. Actually, Gautam Buddha's birth name was Siddharth. He had attained knowledge of human life in his entirety. That is why he came to be known as Buddha. He wanted to know why there is sorrow and suffering in human's life. Children, as we know that everybody suffering from some sorrow or from difficulties in our life. He also was there who was suffering and have sorrow in his life. He wanted to know the reason behind it. He left his home and all comforts in pursuit of the answer to this question. On Vaishak Purnima, he was sitting in deep meditation under a peepal tree at Uruvela near the city of Gaya in Bihar. Now also that tree is there. That is when he attained Bodhi, enlightenment or the highest knowledge. The tree is known as Bodhi tree or Bodhi Vriksha, and the place Uruvela is known as Bodh Gaya. This tree, Bodhi tree, which is peepal tree, and also now also it is there in Bihar. He delivered his first sermon at Sarnath near Varanasi. His teachings in the first sermon are termed Dhamma. In the previous video also we have seen that the Vardhaman Mahavirs, he was the Tirthankar, he preached to people, was known as Samavasaran in Ardhamagadhi. Samavasaran was based on equality. People of all Varnas had entry to it. Like that, the teachings in the first sermon of Gautam Buddha are termed Dhamma. He set in motion wheel of Dhamma in this sermon. Therefore, this event is called as Dhammachakra Pavattan in Pali language and Dharmachakra Pravartan in Sanskrit. There is a little bit difference between these both. Dhammachakra Pavattan in Pali language and Dharmachakra Pravartan in Sanskrit language. Later, he travelled on foot, that is called Charika, for nearly 45 years to preach Dhamma. To give the knowledge of Dhamma, he travelled on foot. As I told you, that is called the Charika. He preached in the people's language, which was Pali. In Buddhism, the concept of taking refuge in Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha is important. It is known as Trisharan. What is Trisharan? Dhamma, Sangha and Buddha. The essence of Dhamma is expounded is as follows. Like the noble truths he said, that is called the Arya Satyas. There are 4 truths at the root of all human affairs. They are called noble truths or Arya Satyas. that is dukkha, suffering. There is suffering in human life. Everybody is suffered in their own life. That is called the dukkha. The cause of dukkha, there is a cause of every suffering. Why the dukkha came in our life, there is a reason behind it. Dukkha nivaran, it is possible to end off every suffering. If we try it, the dukkha also can be nivaran by us. That is called the dukkha nivaran. Pratipad, pratipad means the way. This way leads to end of suffering. This is the way of good conduct. It is known as Ashtangik or Eightfold Path. If we are doing the good deeds only, the good conduct only, that way there will be the end of every suffering. For this, Gautam Buddha told the Eightfold Path, or that is called the Ashtangik Marg. In that, first of all, right view, the knowledge of the Four Noble Truths, right resolve, giving up cruelty. We should not be too much cruel to any kind, any mankind, any animal. Right speech, refrain from telling lies, telling tales, rude, harsh, meaningless speech. That way, we must have to speak very softly. Do not tell a lie or rude also, that can be by which any person can be harmed. Harsh telling also or meaningless speeches also should not be there. Right conduct, stay away from killing animals, stealing and uncontrolled behavior. Stealing also should not be there, and we should not kill to any animal. Right livelihood, using only the proper means of livelihood. Right effort, making effort to avoid wrong acts. Giving up wrong acts, undertaking and maintaining good acts. That way we should have to give the efforts from ourselves to the society. Right mindfulness, being mindful to remove passions and concentrating on trying to understand one's own feelings and mind. Right concentration, experiencing deep meditation with concentration. This way, the Noble Eightfold Path have been said by the Gautam Buddha. Right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right connect, concentration, and right mindfulness. We must have to control our thoughts. We must have to know the truth first. We should have to free our mind. Say nothing that hurt to others. Work for every good of others. Respect life, not only our own but other lives also. Resist evil and practice meditation. Also, Gautam Buddha said, asked people to follow the 5 rules. These rules are known as or called as Panchashi. This Panchashi is stay away from killing animals, stay away from stealing, stay away from unethical conduct, stay away from telling lies, and stay away from intoxicants. Intoxicants means not to eat or drink any kind of toxicant. Buddha Sangha we are going to see now. This is the 5 precepts which was told by the Gautam Buddha. No killing, no stealing, no sexual misconduct, no lying, no intoxicants. Buddha Sangha. He created a Sangha of bhikkhus to preach his religion. Followers who gave up their domestic life and entered the Sangha were called as bhikkhus. These are the bhikkhus you can see in this picture. To preach Buddha religion to the common man, these followers entered in this Sangha. These followers are called as bhikkhus. They too travel on foot like the Buddha to preach Dhamma to the people. Dhamma means the religion or the rules of religion. There was a separate Sangha of women. They are called bhikkhunis. Not only male but the women also were there in the Buddha Sangha. Sangha, group of nuns or monks, preserved Buddha's teachings and spread it. Essence of his teachings: people of all varnas and castes could embrace Buddhism, can be entered in Buddhism. Gautam Buddha announced the freedom of human intelligence. He refused the discrimination based on things like varna. Human intelligence and the person or the man is free to enter in the Buddhism. It was not based on varna. No one is greater or smaller by birth, as we have seen in the varna system, that the Brahmana's son will be the Brahmana, Kshatriya's son will be Kshatriya. This way, there was no any value, no any greater or smaller person by its birth. Greatness depends on one's behavior or conduct. One of his famous quotes is that even a little quail can chirp freely in her nest. That means nature have been given to each and every animal fully freedom. Then why not to us? That is why Buddhism or Buddha Dharma was open to all kind of people. There was no any kind of discrimination based on varnas or the colors or any kind of occupation. This shows his thinking on the values of freedom and equality. He preached that like men, women too had a right to their own upliftment. Women also can be uplift themselves like the men. He opposed the rituals of yajna. His teachings of wisdom, prajna, moral virtue, sheel, and other values are aimed at welfare of man. Compassion like karuna for all living beings was extraordinary features of his personality. The tolerance preached by Gautam Buddha is guiding principle not only for the Indian society but for all mankind even today. If a man can control his mind, he can find the way to enlightenment, and all wisdom and virtue will naturally come to him. This was the Gautam Buddha. Now we are going to see about the Lokayat. What is Lokayat? The ancient trend of thought known as Lokayat or Charvak is also important. It emphasized independent thought and rejected the authority of the Vedas. The person who can be authorized for Vedas, it was rejected. That way, the Lokayat or the Charvak also was important in ancient trend. The ancient period, new religious trends and thoughts went on emerging in India. Later on, religions like Jainism, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and Zoroastrianism also took root in the Indian society. I must tell you, children, Buddhism and Jainism raise or emerge in India only, but these other religions came from other countries to India. Essence of Gautam Buddha's teaching. He preached that like men and women too also have a right to their own upliftment. He opposed rituals of yajnas, and prajna, shil, and karuna was his compassion. And extraordinary feature of Gautam Buddha's life. Thank you children for watching the video.